you don't understand yet? I can follow the order of the December 5th, 2024 Mayor and Council. We are honored to have former First Christian Chaplain George Bennett to lead us in prayer and will remain standing for the pledge.
It's another good day, God. Thank you for allowing us to be here. Thank you for the blessings. Thank you for the struggles. And thank you for life. And that you're using us every day. In the name of our Lord, we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the minutes for November 21st, 2024 for that regular meeting are still forthcoming. We'll move on to item 3, public hearings. This is a public hearing item, consideration of an ordinance to rezone 2.56 acres from residential ag to heavy industries requested by the Valdosta Development Authority. Very large Matt Martin will present.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. These two items go together. It's the same property, but the same applicant. As we talked about in the work session, traditionally, when we have an annexation and rezoning request, that we go ahead and have one public hearing, one presentation for the two together. So when it does come to make a motion to vote, we need to vote on the rezoning first, and then the annexation. So with that, this is a request to annex this property on the edge of the city limits. For the state the street address is 1311. The first map in your packet, which is on the screen, you see that where the city limits currently lie. Old Stateville Road is the boundary. Everything in light shading the city limits. Darker shading is currently unincorporated Lowndes County. This is all the southeastern part of the city, south of the Master Business Park, and some of the industrial areas, which you can see here the railroad tracks. Zoning pattern, it's in the city portion, it's all in 1 and 2. Property is currently zoned residential agriculture in Lowndes County, which requires a lot size of 2.5 acres, usually in residential type zone. That matches a lot of the residential zone in the county that is across the street. On the north side, it's all industrial zone. As indicated by the carrier, this is a shared commerce plan with the city and county. It is industrial activity center. So the industrial zone is what we're here, not the residential zone. So the purpose is to bring it into the city limits, add this acreage to the other acreage that is behind it. The development authority has recently acquired the property and has an existing residence on the former with the tenant that is a family member of the former owners. Understanding is they have one lease at this time, this coming summer. But the possession of the property is going to be transferred to the development authority, and the plan is added into the vacant acreage. You notice on the arrow, this is from a couple of years ago, but since that time, our large new industries that is already being reached. That's the GIS site, which is to the northeast of this property. You see it here on the aerial image in the 100-acre field that is there. In your packet is also a boundary survey that showed 2.5 acres in more detail. Some photographs. This is the subject property with the existing residence. Looking eastward down Old Stateville Road, which is an unpaved county main right of way. And then the westward view, once you get past the house that across the street, this is westward, looking back toward Clay Road. So we're in a rural residential area on the south side of the road. On the north side of the road is sort of different. This is the entrance of Steel Way on Clay Road, Master Business Park. That's the steel facility in the background behind. And as you go to the end of that cul-de-sac, a couple of years ago, we had a large industry still in construction. And a couple of months ago, the aerial imagery shows it almost finished with the paved driveway and a very, very large industrial building that's there. But the communities making all these acres. That is precisely what the development property is. So in terms of annexation or zoning, Planning Commission reviewed this at the November meeting. The the zoning request consistent with the comprehensive plan. He stands for exercising voting power. The town annexation request consistent with the comprehensive plan. It meets the standards for annexation and constitutes contiguous to the city limits. We did get proper notice to Valdosta County per state law with a 30-day window to comment. That window is set by the law with the comments from the county. So we are free to proceed with the annexation of this property. Recommendation of the planning commission for approval with the unanimous vote on both requests. I'll answer any questions you may have.
Council, any questions for Matt? Pretty clear. Matt, thank you. This is a public hearing item. I'll ask you this time if there's anybody that wants to come forward and speak in favor of either the rezoning or the annexation. Seeing none, is there anybody that would like to come forward and speak in opposition of the rezoning and the annexation? Again, seeing none, first, the rezoning is yours for action, council.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to approve the zoning request first.
Okay. The motion is a second. All in favor, show of hands. Thank you, council. Council, now the annexation is yours for action.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to approve the organization request as stated. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? Council, thank you. City of Valdosta just approved. We'll move on to item C, consideration of request to close Gordon Alley public right of way between Smith Street and Lamar Street. Then no doubt city engineer will present. Good.
As discussed on Tuesday, this is a petition for alley closure, which was submitted to my office by Mr. Elton Mack, the landowner, which abuts the existing alley. The existing alley is a paper alley, as I described on Tuesday. It's not open for use as a public street. It has not been approved for that use. Mr. Elton Mack has submitted a petition to see the alley abandoned and for the city to vacate any interest in that alley. In accordance with our ordinance, we submitted all of the required mailings to the adjacent property owners as well as the residents abutting the alley. We received affirmative responses from the 11 property owners, which is 73% of the abutting property owners, which is in excess of our minimum requirement, which is 60% of the abutting property owners. Worth noting, as I mentioned on Tuesday, there was one of the residents abutting the property noted that in their recollection, the alley had been abandoned at one time, early in the 70s. Just as a precaution, I had William go back through and search through city records, though we maintain very robust records going all the way back, trying to comb through all of the historical documents and maintain an accurate map of alleys which have been abandoned. We could not find any record of that. In any case, if council chose to abandon and vacate this alley, it would formalize that vacation early and would be, if anything, a redundancy of the past abandonment and what it. Any questions?
Any questions for them? Good, thank you. Again, this is a public hearing item. Is there anybody that would like to come forward and speak in favor of this request? Seeing none, is there anybody that would like to come forward and speak in opposition to this request? Again, seeing none, council, it's yours for action.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Motion in multiple seconds. All in favor, show your hands. Council, thank you. Ben, thank you. Item 4, ordinances and resolutions. May consideration, the third supplemental bond resolution authorizing the issuance of revenue bonds for improvements and expansion of the city of Valdosta's water and wastewater system. Jeff Dinkins, our finance director, is pretty happy to do this.
Yes, sir. We actually did pretty well on this. I don't want to steal too much of Davenport's thunder, but we've got Corporal Rogers here to present us with the results of the sale, but just very briefly, before he comes up, this is a resolution to authorize the actual issuance of the bonds. So, as we discussed on Tuesday, allows to prepare for it. This resolution would actually sell the bonds, if you will. And, again, not steal too much of the thunder, but yes, sir, I think we did pretty well. Everyone should have a copy of the presentation.
Thanks, Chuck. Good evening, everyone. Yes, so this is a great day for the city. I know it's been a while since you've done debt, and probably the first time in the public market. So what I want to do is, before I get into the actual results themselves, tell you a little bit about the process and what we did talk to the ratings. For the audience's background, this has been something we've been working on for the better part of the year. Of course, back in March, at your Marion Council Summit, we had a presentation, we talked about the project that we needed, and talked about a process that we would go through to get us to this point. As part of that, of course, you engaged Raquel to do a water and sewer rate study. They presented to you back in October when I was here presenting plan finance. You adopted those rates, which helped us when we went in front of the rating agency, with special services, and we were able to say, not only did they gave you credit for raising rates before you actually saw the rate study, they noted that, the more things forward, but also that you then took the rates that were given to you in the study to make this work and adopt those as well. So those were positive things that they told us. So as I mentioned, you had not had a rating prior, and as a part of this, as part of their methodology for giving the bond rating for the utility bonds, they also did a rating for the city. And I know you've not had one in the past. So on page 2, you'll see the initial rating that came out for the city. And this would be as though you were issuing GO bond or something of that sort for the general government side of the house. We call it an issuer rating when you don't have bond. And so the initial rating came out as an A2. You'll see in the chart there that it came in the strong, there are third tier, it's a strong rating. What you're seeing is the rating scale goes all the way down to a triple B minus and a Baa3 for Moody's. That black line denotes investment grade. So you can see you're in the investment grade categories. There are other categories that are non-investment grade, but we typically don't see those in local government. So an A2 is where you came out in the strong category. If you flip over to page 3, what they said in terms of credit strengths, they talked about the recent trend of healthy financial operations that's helped build the balance sheet up. They talked about challenges being, while they're heading in the right direction, reserves remain lower than comparable rated peers. You can see that on the chart in a moment. They talked about the fact that, this is a growing liability, right? Because you're taking on a pretty good size amount of debt right out of the gate. So, this being you to them, they want to kind of see to make sure you can handle this debt. Factors that can lead to an upgrade. These are things they put in their report. One is continued trend of surplus operations and sustained maintenance of total available fund balance of over 25%. You'll see you're not there yet. We'll see a moment where that is. And then economic growth that's more in line with the nation and helpful for residents' income and full value per capita. So demographic basically is what they're saying there. The demographics are not quite where some of the higher ratings are. Things that can lead you to go further, down as far as the downgrade down to an A3 or lower. If you have operating deficits and one-time use of revenues to basically come around your fund balance and bring it down to below 10%, that's something that could lead to a downgrade or further increases. And over 350% of revenues would be a big jump. But so we're not worried about issuing a little bit more. That's a substantial amount of debt department. If you'll flip with me to page 4, this shows the peer comp. This is basically Georgia AA3s, A1s, and A3s in the state. You're the only A2 in the state currently. And what it shows is available fund balance ratio. It's basically the percent of available fund balance in dollars that you have as a percent of of basically revenues. And you'll see there that when you look down that line, you've got a line that shows you how you compare to the others. You're lower than anyone else on the chart. So in spite of that, we still got the A2. But what it tells me, as someone who's been doing this for over 30 years, is that this is not a ceiling for the city. I believe that your rating can go higher. And one of the things that we want to do in order to do that is get the fund balance up a little bit higher. And that's something we talked with Chuck about maybe coming back with some policies to put in place when we go through the next budget process to basically set a goal to work through it. On the next page, kind of gives you the other thing they talk about with the long-term liability ratio. And you can see what we've done. We've included the bonds that we just are about to issue so that you can see where you would stand versus others. And you'll see there's a couple others that are a little bit higher than you. And one's even higher rated in Auburn. They've got a higher long-term liability ratio, yet they've got a new rating. So it is possible to have a slightly higher ratio and a higher rating. If you'll flip with me on page 6, so that's what I'll call issuer rating. Again, the rating for the city if you were issuing debt for just the city. But we were there to get a bond rating for the revenue bonds we are about to issue. And so the rate, they actually came out with the same rating. Not always the case, but in this case, they arrived at the same initial rating of A2 for the water and sewer revenue bonds. So this is the bond rating. If you flip with me over to page 7, what they said in terms of the summary is that your finances are likely to improve in their viewpoint in the coming years because of the utility rate increases that you put into place that should take care of the debt service requirements and add to reserve. And that's a key word there because that's one of the things we were talking about was we've set this up where debt service won't start immediately. We can actually build some reserves up. They talk about strengthening your unlimited legal ability to raise rates if needed. That's obviously the way the state code works. You basically, this body can actually raise rates if needed to have creditors pay debt service. And that's a positive there that we can. You'll note the credit challenges are the exact same two as they talked about for the general government side of the house, which is available reserves not being quite as high as some of the other peers, and the liabilities, which of course are the same liabilities that they talk about on the general fund side. Factors that lead to an upgrade include a sustained maintenance of cash balance of at least 120 days over there. One of the things that I think I talked about in presenting to you all before was having one of at least 180 days, maybe 270. That's something we're working on as far as policy. So they're saying at least 120. And then coverage of over 2 times. I don't know that 2 times is something that's pretty hard. We might try to shoot for something maybe in the 175 range as a target, but maybe have cash a little higher to balance those two. So that's something we'll work with you on over the coming months over the next year. So in terms of factors that could lead to downgrade, coverage dropping below 1.5 times, bringing declines in liquidity, and debt to revenue at about 5 times. So a couple of things there. And again, the coverage is one we want to watch some risks that you keep that coverage below 1.5 times. So that's why I said 175 might be a problem, might be a goal for us. If you'll turn with me on page 8, the water and sewer peer comps as far as days cash on hand. Again, this is a metric we use to calculate reserves for the enterprise fund. How many days can you operate with cash you have on hand? And so what you'll see here, again, this is one of the things they really gained this on. This is why I feel like, just like I did with the issuer rating, I feel like this water and sewer bond rating could go higher if we get our cash levels up. And that's the plan that we put in place working with Ellis is to get these dollars up. You'll see that Brunswick Lane has a very low days cash on hand, but outside of that, everyone else is at least over 100 days cash on hand. So that's something that we want to work towards. It's getting the funds up. You'll see that some of them are quite substantial. Not sure we need to go that far. We want to be able to use that cash to keep pipes updated and pumps and things like that. We know that money's going to be reinvested into the system, but there should be a minimum
9 is the other column I want to show you, and that is debt service coverage ratio. That is, once you've paid your operational bills, how many dollars revenues are left over to pay debt service? So that's the ratio. And in this case, you'll see your, looks like around 175, 160 right now. You'll see that it translates pretty, you look at the AA3s, and they're all much higher than the A1s and A2s, and when you look at the averages. So you look at that pure median, the first, and second, third, and fourth bars, you'll see AA3 pure median is much higher than the A1 and the A2. So that translates almost directly to our rate. So that's the other thing we want to look at. So let's talk about the market. Page 10, this gives you tax-exempt interest rates for the last 20 years. We use AAA, our market uses AAA as sort of bogey, so these are AAA rates. You'll notice going all the way back in the chart on the left, 1999, rates have basically been declining. We hit rock bottom during the COVID period. That was an anomaly. That we'll ever see that again unless we have another unusual situation like that. Rates pop back up, as you know, and they were starting to head lower. Higher, excuse me. They were starting to head a little bit higher as folks were beginning to feel good about the market. You'll see on the right-hand side, we started to see rates trickling up in October, but over the last couple of weeks, we've actually seen rates come down. A lot of that rate going up was a little bit of uncertainty in the presidential election, frankly. We weren't sure what things were headed, and so now that we know we know the outcome, I think the market's got one more comfortable rates to come back down, and so that led to the great sale that we had today. The next chart I thought might be interesting for you to see on page 11. This is the yield curve. So this shows interest rate in year 1 to year 30. And you'll see the very dark line, the gold line, that is the current yield curve. And then we showed you 1 year ago, 2 years ago. And the point of really showing you this is rates really haven't changed a lot over the 2 years. In general, we really traded in what I call a very narrow range in terms of rates going up and down in general. So we've actually done pretty well. At the end of the day, we are below 4%. And I think that's a huge win for us. And we'll see the kind of results in just a moment. Page 12, this kind of gives you what we've been working on for the past several months, working with the folks in Drake. Now we're here on this put together this POS. That's on the left-hand side of the page. We call it a preliminary official statement because it doesn't have file numbers in it yet. That basically is the offering statement. It's a sales document, if you want to think of it that way. It has a lot of information in it about the city, about the utility system, about our projections, about where we think that the debt service coverage is headed, and gives the sales, the folks who are selling these bonds to ultimate buyers, something to be able to tell them about the city. Put together an official notice of sale that gives them parameters that they can bid under, and we basically held the bids at 10:30 today. It's all electronic. We don't know what the bids are until 10:30:00, and the clock hits at 9:00, and we get the results button, and it shows us the winning results. And that's what we saw, this slide on the bottom right corner, this where it shows you Maze Road Financial was the winning bidder at 3.90. You'll notice the Truist came in second in the third decimal place. So that's very, very tight bidding. They both saw this spread very, very tight. You'll notice that we had 12 bids, which is fantastic. I told Chuck when I talked to him earlier this week that I thought between 5 and 7. It's typically what we would see, but we hope we'd see more. 5 signed up at the end of the day yesterday, and this morning I came in and we had 13 actually signed up. So we had one that did bid. Why would they not bid? They may not have felt like there were enough buyers and enough orders at the time, and so they decided not to put a bid in. But in general, 15 basis points from top to bottom is a very good spread. It means that 15 basis points, 10 is 1/10 of 1%, so 15 would be 15 100s, or hundreds. So that's very, very tight bidding from top to bottom. And so we think that's a result of basically all the information we gave them. They felt very comfortable. That's obviously The main mailbox that fit very well. Page 13 goes in a little bit more detail, shows you the bigger picture, so you can make it smaller numbers you may not be able to see, but it shows you the top bottom of the bid. Again, basically 0.007 between cover and main bid and 15 basis to the last place. Page 14 is a lot of details on the principal amounts. This basically shows that we'll be paying these bonds off over 30 years with all about between 54. Coupons and yields, really the yields that we're looking at is the first year was at 265, the last year was 407. When you average all of those together, on page 15 in the bottom right corner, what you'll see is the all-in true interest cost there of $398. So the bid at $390. Once we add the cost of issuance, it's at $398. So just a shade under 4%, basically 30 or 9. I sold bonds for another client that was double A plus rated 2 weeks ago, 20-year bonds, and they showed it at 60. So you weren't very far off the double A plus 20-year bonds. It's shorter, which goes out longer, so it's going to be naturally a little bit higher. So we were using the results. We were using 460 as our planning rate. That's along the way as we've been talking the last several months. That's a difference of $11 million lower debt service with the result that we got today. So we're very, very pleased with that outcome. So we'll be putting 69 million and change will be going into the bank for the projects that we talked about, that you all through this moving forward. On the last page is the schedule. We're asking you to authorize that tonight with the documents or the residence chart that we put forward. We will be working, the bond council will be working with us, putting in some blanks, and they'll be working with your council to get these documents finalized and signed, and then we will be closing on December 19th. The dollars will be in the bank, start earning interest, waiting for basically the funds to be spent on the projects. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I have no further questions.
Council, any questions? Chuck?
Yeah, I have one. You got a question, I just have to ask that. We have some new members in the audience that have been coming. If our city manager can explain what this project is, what we're gonna take on.
Yeah, there's a multitude of projects that we outlined in our Mayor Council Street Strategic Summit last March. You know, we put in a water plant, a new water plant that's going to complete that project. You know, we've had rupture lines, sewer lines throughout the city. Going to rehabilitate that, and we're going to provide water and sewer to new areas throughout the city, create more advanced opportunities for new development.
Good. Any other questions, Council?
I think it's terrific news. Thanks very much.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we do praise those peer cities. Valdosta currently the old Georgia City rating A2. Those peer cities are Beaufort, Calhoun, College Park, Garden City, Griffin, LaGrange, Locust Grove, Oakwood, 3 prestigious cities. And we rank a mile and a half ahead of them. So thank you for that great news as well. All right. Thank you both. Council. Who wants the honor? Second. A motion and a second. Council, all in favor? Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody for the hard work, Catherine, Richard, Chuck, their team as well. And to Dallas, what you guys are awesome. You guys have that control down here. Really well done. All right, move on to item 5, bids, contracts, and signatures. Item A, consideration for request to amend the electric service contract. The city of Valdosta Police Department modernize Chief Leslie Minnihan will present. Actually,
Good evening, Mayor and City Manager. So as we talked about on Tuesday, it's time for us to start renewing our rotation director service contract for the calendar year 2025. So before we move forward with these annual contracts, we're asking to amend the contracts to mandate the maximum fees for $125 a ton and $45 a day. Short fees. some of the years that we've had before. But many of us have had conversations with record drivers recently, and we were the lowest in the area. So this will make us comparable with even with agencies around us. Any questions?
Council. Chief, thank you. Council, yours for action.
May I like to make a motion to approve the request as presented?
Motion is second, all in favor? Show of hands. Council, thank you. Chief, thank you. Moving on. Item B, consideration of a request to cancel the voluntary broker and record contract between the city of Valdosta and Taylor Insurance Services. Jenny Boyer, our HR director. Present. Good evening, Jen.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As we discussed in Tuesday's work session, we are recommending the cancellation of our agreement with Taylor Insurance Services with 90 days notice as provided in the existing contract. Your packet contains the history and reasoning for this request along with substantial supporting documentation. While we had significant service delivery and policy execution challenges over the years, it is the recent deterioration of the working relationship that has brought us here today. I fully understand the gravity and the seriousness of what I am doing before you. The long history between the city and Taylor Insurance is well understood, and it will be heavily in the decision we made in 2022 to renew the contract, even in the face of better options for our employees. However, past decisions do not dictate future actions. As I stated Tuesday, and I state again tonight, this relationship is irretrievably broken, and it's time to move on. The integrity and credibility of the human resources staff is under attack, and I take that personally. Let me be clear. If my staff and I err, we will own that and we will correct it. We will be accountable to our actions, and the ultimate accountability for the actions of my team rests on me. I will not stand silently by while our actions of integrity are questioned simply for doing what is right for our employees and for not backing down to attempts to intimidate us otherwise. To have our integrity questioned in the absence of any evidence is bad enough. But to be subjected to the actions of Mr. Taylor when we did not back down is simply inexcusable. The baseless allegations made against Josie and myself included assertions that we were directing employees to drop or cancel coverage with Taylor Insurance. Mr. Taylor also alleged that we were selling insurance without a license, and in doing so, committing felonies. Neither allegation has any factual basis, and despite repeated requests for any documentation or evidence supporting these allegations, none has been provided. In a meeting with city leadership, Mr. Taylor was asked for any documentation or evidence supporting his allegations, and he produced none. Instead, Mr. Taylor essentially stated that he had spoken with the insurance commissioner, and that if Josie and I were fired, this whole thing would go away. Additionally, it is important to note that while he stated on October 11th that he had contacted the insurance commissioner, we have not received any communication or inquiry from the commissioner regarding these allegations. Unfortunately, the attacks and allegations over the past few days, both through email, and on social media, have intensified to the point that I feel compelled to address some of the most egregious statements this evening. Specifically, Mr. Taylor stated that HR staff were making promises to employees that if they dropped Taylor coverage, then in the event of any claims, the city would provide comparable coverage at little to no cost to the employee. That's not even possible and makes no sense. Mr. Taylor claims that he met with Mr. Hardy and that Taylor's allegations were dismissed. As you know, Mr. Hardy states that he asked Taylor for any documentation or evidence to be provided so that it could be investigated. None was provided. Mr. Taylor alleges that the city manager hosted meetings with council and cares to share some of the story, just not all of the story. While Mr. Hardy did attend these meetings, they were requested on my behalf. This was done immediately after Mr. Taylor sent his final October email to me that read, "Done. Spoke with the commissioner personally this morning, calling city leadership, mayor, and council now." The mushroom cloud on this thing is completely unnecessary and prompted by her actions, with unjust. And your tacit approval. When you didn't take the opportunity to investigate the matter, you became complicit personally here. As I knew you were getting calls, I requested these meetings with each of you to share the information, documentation, and context for the allegations being made against my team and myself. I wanted to share the facts and stop this war. Mr. Taylor states that the consideration of terminating the existing contract is clear retaliation for his participation in Valdosta firms and for the open records request that have recently been submitted. As each of you that I met with will recall, I stated to you the week of October 18th that I was convinced it was time to move on from this vendor and would be bringing forth an agenda item in the near future. The first ORR was submitted on October 21st, and that was the first announcement made on November 30th. Mr. Taylor also claims that what you are being asked to do has nothing to do with the service my agency has provided the city of Valdosta for more than 50 years, and everything to do with punishing me for daring to hold your employee accountable against very serious allegations. He also states, my request to you is that you would take notice of the way in which the city leadership responds when questioned and asked for accountability, retribution policy. While I do acknowledge the long and tenured relationship between the city and Taylor Insurance Services, the continuation of that relationship is not an entitlement. Additionally, the agenda item is driven by me, not by city leadership. It was initiated not in retribution or retaliation, but in good faith that a careful and deliberate consideration of the facts support the cancellation of this agreement. In fact, city leadership asked me if I am certain that I wanted to bring forth this item rather than waiting on the expiration at the end of the contract. My answer to them was simple. I never wanted to bring this item forward. However, I am compelled to stand before you this evening to do what is right, both for the city and for our employees. As I stated on Tuesday, we have two jobs to make, to protect the city and take care of our employees. The trust that they need to have in us is not negotiable and won't be compromised. The vendor that we choose to provide our ancillary products is an extension and a reflection of us. While we have had concerns for years regarding the service accuracy being provided to our employees, we've worked hard to resolve them and minimize the impact on our employees. However, I stand before you this evening to say the bullying, the intimidation, and the threats of Mr. Taylor over the last 4 months are not acceptable and have made a continued relationship completely untenable. It is with all of that in mind that we recommend the cancellation of this contract with the 90 days notice as provided in the agreement. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Council, any questions for Jay?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Jay, just for clarification purposes, if we were to cancel the contract tonight, would we have employees, active policies in force through Taylor Insurance?
We would. So the policies that have been provided through Taylor Insurance are individual policies, meaning they are sold from the insurance company to the employee. All we do is payroll deduction. So they can keep those policies in force as long as they chose to do so.
So that in effect, go all the way through next year's open enrollment?
They could, they can keep them as long as they want. Yep. And they can keep them for a week, a month, a year, 10 years.
All right, second question.
Yes, sir.
We know, y'all are gonna be looking to call out new RFPs.
Yes,
Would Taylor Insurance be eligible to apply for that new RFP?
they would.
Okay, thank you.
Council, any other questions?
I have the same question I asked you Tuesday. With this department here, which is your department and our city manager, our previous city managers, and our previous HR people that had insurance before, never found any mistakes until now. And you all were able to come in after 25 years and find problems with this situation.
Councilman, thank you for asking that question. When I stood in front of you on Tuesday, I had not researched anything beyond the time of that complaint. We have now since gone back and done that. We have found errors and emails documenting those errors with Taylor staff and City Human Resources staff for years and years before I got the decision.
You have that, and the council can see it, you say you have it, and the council be able to pull this up and look at it.
They are available for review, yes, they are city emails. They can't.
Any other questions for Jay? Jay, thank you.
Yes.
Council, this item is yours for action.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we table this agenda item until January 23rd meeting.
I second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. All in opposition, same sign. Motion denied. Any other motion before us?
We'll start that. My understanding.
No, it's not, it's a motion.
Mr. Mayor, one of our constant reminders of our responsibilities as elected officials in the city of Valdosta is to act in the best interest of the city as a whole, and that includes our city employees. We know, based on the testimony provided here tonight, that there's not going to be a financial harm to Taylor Insurance until the earliest next open enrollment period, which is next fall. We also confirmed tonight that when the RFP goes out after the first of the year, they're eligible to send an RFP consideration at that time as well, and could in theory get a contract back. So I don't see, big harm happening here, Taylor Insurance at this time, but there is no doubt that the negative impact of all that's been going on our department heads and our employees, that is something we do have to take into consideration and be concerned about. With that in mind, I will make a motion to cancel the contract.
A motion? A second. A motion and a second. All in favor of this motion? Show of hands.
Yes.
That question.
Any further comments?
My question was, they said if we cancel it tonight, that it will be canceled, right? We will have that insurance. Okay.
No.
I do.
90 days. Within 90 days, will there be another agency? Yes, because we offer that to the city, we offer it to the employers. So if we cancel that insurance, will we have another agency?
You misunderstood. And correct me, Jenny, if I misunderstood. These current policies will stay in force.
They will stay in force as the employees use. There, any after-tax policy, an employee can cancel at any time. So whether we cancel the contract or don't cancel the contract, after-tax policies, employees can do whatever they want. But yes, these policies will fully stay in force for, and then determine whatever the employee wants to do for a period of time. Once there's a determination made, we move forward to cancel the contract. We will then move forward with a new RFP to get a new, there's a 90-day notice. So there will be a 90 days where they will still be our provider. We will then work to put a new RFP in place with a new broker of record at that time and get new products in front of our employees as quickly as possible.
That's why I was just asking, because the city, right now says, offer that type of insurance to people who will come along, we have a vendor in place in those 90 days.
That would absolutely be our goal. I would imagine that it wouldn't take much longer than that. Maybe, if we miss it by 90, we might be just a couple of weeks longer. We want to make sure we get the right vendor. But every person who has a policy now can continue that policy for as long as they want. So no one will have a coverage.
I understand that. I'm just saying we would be advertised just to make sure we're not false advertising, so we provide that type of insurance when we don't have a vendor to provide to any new employees who might be coming. So we might have to change the policy. So just asking.
Patients have PR, they're allowed, but still have to come to the council, we voted up if we choose.
Yes, ma'am. So we would do that the way we do any other RFP. We would put it out for bid. We would get the bids. We would go through, the scoring process. We would certainly make sure that we have some counsel on that committee with the scoring process. We would ask the final 2, maybe 3 vendors to come and give us presentations in person. And then we would put before you our recommendation for who we believe that should be our next provider, whoever that may be, and it would be yours to vote on.
Jenny, thank you. Again, there's a motion and a second before you do any further comments from council. Seeing none, all in favor, show of hands. All in opposition, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now move on to item 6. Local funding request consideration request that enter into a lease to own program to purchase a new conductor electric vehicles that are known as tasers for the city of Valdosta Police Department.
As we talked about at first session Tuesday, the current competitive electrical weapon, which is our CEW, which is also known as tasers to the public. Our department's using is about 15 years old, so they're no longer in warranty, they're becoming obsolete, and they're becoming costly. So, as you know, CEWs are extremely important to us as a listening weapon for our officers to use to gain control of someone quickly, safely, and efficiently. So we're asking to enter into a 5-year lease agreement with Axon Enterprises Incorporated for the sole source providers of the newest version of CEW's Taser 10. There's a list of the benefits as we went over Tuesday night, how this product that would be very, very beneficial for our department and for our city. So for FY25, the first payment would be $54,047.20. Which comes in under budget that was approved by council earlier this year. The next 4 years, the city would agree to make a payment of $156, $446, and $36 each year. That cost includes a 5-year warranty, free probe replacement, software upgrades, the virtual reality training that we talked about, and non-sub training for our instructors. The other thing with our old tasers, our X26Ps, we'll be able to return those backpacks on, and we'll get credit for those. So some of these speeds will be smaller, we're just not finding it yet. Are there any questions?
Teresa, do you have a picture of that taser?
That is it, and as you see, we're going away from a pro taser, or a cartridge taser, to actual 10 pros, which will be which are activated each time the trigger is pulled.
What did you have to do before?
Before you pull the trigger once, 2 probes would come out. If they hit, they hit. If they didn't, you'd have to take the cartridge out, put a whole new cartridge on, and those are $43 a piece. So as you see, that gets expensive. And with training, you have to use 2 cartridges. So just for training alone with each officer, it's $86 a year. This is free because you've got a virtual reality training, and I promise you this is voluntary. And I recommend all of you try it if we do get this product. Not actual taser itself.
I also noticed your officers came to the door, though.
And one of the other benefits, as you see, it is yellow. All of them will be yellow, right now we've got a mixed match color. So there's no way, it's definitely sticks out from being a final.
Council, any further questions for Chief Marion? Chief, thank you.
Thank you.
Council, yours for action.
May I like to make a motion to approve this presentation as presented?
Second. Motion is second, all in favor, show of hands. Council, thank you, Chief. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to item 7, citizens to be heard. This is the portion of the meeting that we ask you to come forward, state your name and address, so we may have it for the record. Policy requires you stay under 3 minutes so others have time to be heard. Please direct comments to council as a whole. Do not attempt to engage individual members of council in debate. It is our policy to follow through with you and your concern almost immediately. Additionally, we ask that any groups that want to address the council designate one spokesperson to represent the group and their comments. Again, to ensure others have time to be heard. Having said that, are there any citizens wishing to be heard at this time? Please come forward.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Trey Taylor, CEO of Taylor Insurance, I live 4 Fox Hollow Circle in the city of Valdosta, and 75 time. I cannot tell you how disappointed I am as a result of the motion tonight. My family has had the privilege of representing the insurance interests of the city employees here for 58 years, winning 19 consecutive RFPs. Only when the current staff was appointed were there problems that came up. We heard mention of previous emails, and anything as complicated as insurance, you're always going to have some things that come back and forth. You think you're in private employment. In your history with insurance, you always have little things to be fixed. We've always been able to do that. We have attended funerals, graduations, delivered checks, arranged for health care, provided additional funds when necessary, had claims be paid that were not literally owed on behalf of serving the city. We've done that professionally for 58 years. This is our oldest account. And you have been fooled tonight with facts that have been obfuscated, told half-truths and stories on the direction of those who are trying to cover their own ineptitude and naivety. Secondly, my family, our colleagues, our friends, we work for the city of Valdosta. We do so politically. We put good men and women in office when we thought they were the right people to serve. We have introduced state and national politicians to come to our city to help where we can. We make calls, we do lobbying visits, we do all kinds of things. And to have that be so overlooked tonight in the history of small conflict, I was taught that friends can disagree. We have a disagreement with members of staff. We do. We have a disagreement with members of the city manager's office. We have questions from a civic organization that have yet to be answered. And the timeline here cannot be ignored. This was retaliation and retribution, pure and simple. And it sends the message: if you ask the question, you must pay the price when you do business with the city of Valdosta. Shame. Thank you.
Are there any other citizens wishing to be heard at this time?
Hi there, John Portland. Now, 338 10th Club Road, Suite L1, 336, in Valdosta. I forgot to bring a chainsaw. I apologize for that. I want to compliment the hard work of the city staff and, of course, the mayor and council on dealing with the recent flash flood and Hurricane Helene. And something that the city does that I found no other city or county that is required to follow up water quality testing after sewage spills. As far as I can tell, Valdosta is the only city that posts those results on its own website. I really applaud you for that. However, I'm mystified as to why, when there's an ongoing problem of sky-high results at Warrensville Road on Sugar Creek, which, as you may be aware, is slightly upstream from the waterway. By sky-high, I mean, if I recall correctly, Tuesday results by the city of Valdosta were 12,000 CFU, which is 12 times the 1,000 alert limit. And this has been going on ever since the rain event. I'm mystified why the city is now only testing weekly at that location. I know the permit only requires testing weekly, you do daily for 1 week and then weekly after that, after a major spill. But there's clearly something badly wrong. It needs to be found. And I would like to see more testing. I went out and collected samples myself on Monday and confirmed, yes, it's a problem. The city's Tuesday result was even higher than what I got. I did find out that whatever it is, it's not as far up as normal drive, so that's something. And I think we're all like, what is it? So it can be fixed. So I hope something can be done about that. And I hope that with the new bonds that I believe the Mayrite Drive manhole can be fixed. I started to go back and look and see how many years we've been asking for something to be done about that, but I didn't have sufficient digging materials on it at the moment. There's other obvious places like Wild Hill. And yes, I know you're all working on inflow and infiltration, which is great, it needs to be done. But surely there must be something that can be done about those specific locations to stop the problem. These are not the only ones, just the ones that come to mind. But every time it rains hard, it spills there. So, compliments and there's room for improvement. Thank you.
Thank you. John, thank you. You'll hang right after the meeting, the city manager and Jason Parks, our utility director, talking about this. Any other citizens wishing to be heard at this time? Seeing none, we'll close out this portion of the evening and turn it over to our city manager himself for the city manager's report.
Thanks, Mayor. Based off of the funds that we received, we'll make sure that we get out to, the council and the community, schedule all of the projects that support this money, particularly for life. We have a lot going on in the next couple of years, throughout the Christmas holidays. First Friday downtown, Valdosta, Friday, December 6th, celebrate First Friday with local merchants, entertainment, and festive activities. This will take place from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. We also have our annual Christmas tree lighting in collaboration with Valdosta County. This will take place at Unity Park. We will have it combined with light the Unity Park Christmas tree, and the county will light that tree at the same time. During the same night, we'll also have the downtown cocoa and cookie crawl. This will take place we will start at 6:30 p.m. Enjoy the stroll downtown, enjoy this festivity of sampling cocoa and cookies. Saturday, December 7th, starting at 6 p.m., downtown Valdosta, we will have our Greater Valdosta Christmas Parade. This is a cherished tradition and a great time for the community. Follow along Ladies' Night, that Thursday, December 12th, downtown 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. This will be an evening of holiday shopping, exclusive deals, and festive fun. Saturday, Movies Night in the Park, December 14, 2024. We'll start at Dell's location near the park movie How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Excuse me, Richard, that's a lot.
That is a lot. A lot of stuff going on. Come out and have fun.
That's off Third Main Street, that's incredible. Council, if you don't mind, I'll lead off with 2 quick comments, and then we'll move on to council comments. To all the city staff that showed up at the latest food distribution, with our second harvest food bank out at the new Valdosta High School campus, you guys are amazing. You work full days all long. To serve almost 2,000 citizens and about 780 or so cars out there, job well done. To our firefighters and our PIO staff, I thank you personally for yesterday's mayor's motorcade, the Parkwood Development Center, to make for a great Christmas for those special needs adults that have very little or no family. PIO impressed everybody to buy an ornament and raise the money to the shopping they did, to you and your staff as well. I know we find as much joy, but it's a wonderful thing. Thank you for making me look good and thank you for a great Christmas for those residents as well. Council, that's all I have. Any other council comments?
Mayor,
Tim?
I would like to take the opportunity to Chuck Wilkins and the bond team.
Unbelievable.
This has been, a long process, something new for all of us here on council, myself included. Been on council now for 17, 18 years. We've never done a bond before. I haven't needed to. But I also want to thank Ben O'Dell, our city engineer. Ben really worked a lot on helping get all the nuts and bolts where they need to be and how we're going to spend that money and how we're going to work the funding. And then also Jason with the utility rates, making sure we're at the right spot to help make that not happen. But just a great team effort, and I think that our citizens will benefit greatly as these projects get to work and we start improving our water and sewer system.
Any other council comments? See, that'll be the motion for
So